The untouchable Carmella has been battling it out with the boss Sasha Banks over on Friday Night SmackDown for the past few weeks, and that could ultimately lead her to her second SmackDown Women's Championship. A big chance to add to her resume that already includes a 130-day run as Women's Champ, technically 2 victories in the Money in the Bank ladder match, multiple reigns as 24/7 champion, a mixed match challenge victory, and she won the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania 35. If you're a big wrestling fan, chances are you already knew all of that. Or at the very least, I reminded you of a few things. But maybe, just maybe, I'm about to teach you a few things about Miss Carmella. I'm Rick Ucchino, and as always, if I've done my research correctly, I have 5 facts about Carmella you might not know. Number 1, spend some time on the sidelines professionally. This won't come as a shock to anybody, but Carmella wasn't always a wrestler. Her father, Paul Van Dale, may have been in the business, but she started off on a different path, earning her marketing degree from UMass Dartmouth in 2010. But while she was in school, she spent time performing in front of fans when Tom Brady wasn't throwing touchdown passes. Carmella spent 3 seasons as a New England Patriots cheerleader up until 2010, and that is when she moved out west and successfully auditioned for the Los Angeles Lakers dance team for the 2010-2011 season. Fun fact, she actually dropped out of the selection process for WWE Tough Enough in 2010 when she successfully made the Lakers dance team. It wasn't until 2013 when she signed on with NXT. The Staten Island Princess? Yeah, she's not from Staten Island at all. Maybe you already knew that, or maybe you picked up on that from some clues that I've dropped already in this video, but the woman who is billed from Staten Island is not from there. Heck, she's not even from the state of New York, which is most likely why she was cheering on Tom Brady and not Eli Manning or whoever the quarterback for the Jets was at that time. Oh God. Oh, is that the Brett Favre, Mark Sanchez era? Yeesh. Anywho, luckily for Carmella, at least from a football standpoint, she grew up in a small town in Massachusetts and, as I mentioned earlier, went to UMass Dartmouth for school. So why the change? Well, first off, it's not that uncommon for a wrestler to say they're from someplace when they're really from someplace else. Psst, The Undertaker isn't really from Death Valley. What? I know, right? The story goes that as Carmella was coming up with that character, Byron Saxton was actually instrumental in her development, and it was his idea for her to be from New York to better fit that mafia, mob boss wife persona she was going for at the time. Number 3, she was a backup dancer for Rihanna. Anyone who has watched Carmella perform over the last 7+ years in WWE knows one thing for sure. Among her many talents, she can flat out dance. I was a big fan of the dance breaks that she did with R-Truth, and I hope those come back one day, at least for one big pop, maybe at WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or something like that. But as I've mentioned already, she does have a background in dancing, 3 seasons as Patriots cheerleader, but it was her 1 year as a Laker girl where she had the opportunity that she'll likely never forget. Turns out that season, the NBA All-Star Game was in Los Angeles, and the halftime performer was Grammy Award-winning artist Rihanna. During her performance, she was joined by a number of backup dancers on stage, and guess who was among them? Yep, the future SmackDown Women's Champion. Believe it or not, Carmella, the longest time as the Money in the Bank contract holder. I'm sure you remember Carmella's time as the first ever Women's Money in the Bank contract holder and her subsequent title run that ran all the way to SummerSlam of 2018. But did you know Carmella spent more time carrying around that briefcase than any other person to do it, male or female? 287 days she walked around as Miss Money in the Bank before cashing in the SmackDown after WrestleMania 34, beating Charlotte Flair for her first ever world title, thanks to a little assist from the debuting Iconics. You might be wondering who is the second longest holder of the briefcase. Well, for that answer, look no further than the OG. Edge, 2005, won the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21. He held on to that contract for 280 days until he successfully cashed in on John Cena at New Year's Revolution in January of 2006. And finally, for Miss Carmella, yes, she likes the bubbly on screen, but in real life, she's all about the wine. Selling it, that is, as well as drinking it, obviously. It is a rarity these days that we don't see Carmella on television with some form of the good stuff in her hand, but in her personal life, she really loves a good glass of wine. So much so, she launched a new endeavor last year, early on in 2020, starting her own wine label. Not the only thing she launched last year, by the way. She also started up her own podcast with boyfriend Corey Graves called Bear With Us. The real-life couple, they try to help others navigate these sometimes rocky waters of relationships and talk people through the problems that, well, most of us all go through in life. It is available, by the way, on Apple Podcasts. So, while there's no shortage of projects for Carmella to keep her busy outside of the ring, from what we've seen the last few weeks inside of it, we may just be on the verge of seeing her best run in WWE yet. That's our video this time around. Make sure to give us the old thumbs up there. Also, make sure to subscribe to the SK Wrestling YouTube channel for more content like this, plus exclusive interviews and more.